Hello, we're on the north side of the Columbia River. Behind me are the remains of the Vancouver Shipyard. It's an all but forgotten feat of engineering that played an important part in the Allied victory of World War II. Looking at the site today, it's easy to miss the astonishing thing that happened here. Over 70 years ago, the people of this small town came together and managed to build 50 aircraft carriers in a little under 2 years. At its peak, the shipyard was producing 4 carriers per month, which is astonishing given the large fleet carriers could take up to 36 months to complete. The concept of a small aircraft carrier that could be quickly assembled and sent into service came about at a dire moment during World War II. As 1942 grew to a close, America had lost 4 of its large fleet aircraft carriers: the Lexington, the Yorktown, the Wasp, and the Hornet. The loss of these carriers, the pilots, the aircraft, put America at a serious disadvantage to the Japanese. The Roosevelt administration had been contemplating the use of escort carriers prior to the American entry into World War II. Roosevelt had served as the Assistant Secretary of the Navy in the Wilson administration in 1913. This gave him a comprehensive understanding of naval warfare, and he saw the threat posed by German U-boats during World War I. Roosevelt believed that a small escort carrier could greatly aid Atlantic convoys and fill any gaps in air power. Because of their low construction time, he suggested the conversion of merchant ships into small aircraft carriers. The first such vessel took a little over 3 months to build, and the Navy christened it the Long Island. The new vessels built in the Vancouver Shipyard were designated as Casablanca-class Escort Carriers, or CVE. They differed from the other escort carriers in that they were designed from the ground up as an aircraft carrier rather than a converted merchant ship. With a full load of aircraft and crew, the small carrier had a displacement of 10,000 tons. This was much lighter than the 40,000-ton displacement of a full-sized carrier. Due to its reduced size, limited hangar space, and smaller deck, the aircraft had to be small as well. The Grumman F4F Wildcat was the best fit, and the carriers could hold up to 27 aircraft in total. Because of its proven ability to produce ships quickly, the Vancouver shipyards were a natural choice to produce these new aircraft carriers. The shipyard had just finished a contract to build 13 Liberty ships in 1942, and its workers were now well trained and ready to take on a bigger challenge. The shipyard itself was located on 157 acres on the north shore of the Columbia River and employed 30,000 people by the end of 1943. The new workers accounted for a 600% increase from the pre-war population levels. This put an enormous strain on resources as local officials had to feed, clothe, transport, and house the new workforce. The challenge facing both the management and the workers of the Vancouver Shipyard was enormous. The need for the new carriers was so great that the Maritime Commission and the Kaiser Shipyard Company came up with a promotion to motivate shipyard workers. Kaiser believed the Vancouver shipyards could build 18 escort carriers, 2 above its contract of 16, by January of 1944. Kaiser coined the slogan 18 or more by 44 to inspire the workers to exceed expectations of the Navy. The Chief of Naval Operations appealed to the shipyard workers, writing that the completion of the Vancouver aircraft carriers in significant numbers ahead of your present schedule is vital to the importance of the early conclusion of the war. His plea for more aircraft carriers demonstrated the importance of the Vancouver shipyards in the war effort. By January of 1944, the Kaiser Vancouver shipyards not only met the challenge but exceeded, having finished construction of 19 aircraft carriers. It was a remarkable achievement for Henry Kaiser, the workers, and the shipyard. Kaiser Vancouver Shipyard would go on to complete a total of 50 escort carriers by the end of the war. These escort carriers proved vital to the war effort by fleeing the larger fleet carriers to go on the offensive against the Japanese. By the end of the war, the escort carriers had proven their value, providing air cover for amphibious landings, convoys, and transporting aircraft. Amazingly, in addition to the 50 aircraft carriers, the shipyard was able to construct 30 AP-5 troop transport ships, 30 landing ship tanks, or LSTs, and 10 Liberty ships. The Casablanca-class escort carriers served with distinction throughout the war. Out of the 50 built in Vancouver, 6 of them were lost to enemy action. In many ways, the story of the Vancouver Shipyard was echoed across the nation, whether the B-17 in Seattle or the Jeep in Toledo, Ohio. Americans came together to make good on Roosevelt's promise to make America the arsenal of democracy. The amazing thing is what a small town was able to achieve. Vancouver was never an industrial hub, it never had much manufacturing capability, and a population at the start of the war of about 6,000. The small town was able to produce 50 aircraft carriers, which is an amazing achievement and had a great impact on the war. Although they're no longer building aircraft carriers here, there still is a lot of activity, and the site is actually on private property. To get around this, the city of Vancouver built this wonderful 3-story tower that you could come and see not only the river behind me, but what remains of the shipyard. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please feel free to comment or like and subscribe.